Hello, and welcome back to our continuing Settlement Survival New Trade System series. I'm Larry. It's episode 35, and we've been busy over here trying to get all this stuff designed and built because this is going to be the absolute big-time agriculture area of the map. Yes, I think I have placed enough housing over here to fully implement what I want to do, because I decided instead of us having scattered crops all around the map, I'm going to go ahead and consolidate, and I'm hoping that the transfer stations and all that do their jobs. So they will collect, everybody will toss their stuff in there. And when we set up the transfer station, we're just going to set it up for just the basic items that we want over here. And that'll make our life a lot easier. Hopefully it'll work out. I don't know. But I did put in a large mountain warehouse here. And I'm seriously debating on putting one over here as well. Because then, if the transfer stations don't send everything out like I'm hoping they will, then at least it'll be consolidated in one spot and the supply stations will be able to get over there quite easily. But then I started thinking, what am I going to plant over here? Because I was first thinking it was going to be just strictly alcohol and medical. That's what I was thinking, but I started looking around the map and it's like, oh, I want to do other things in other places, but if I keep on throwing the crops all around the map, it's going to be kind of a pain. So I opted into where we are going to put everything here. So I had to decide, what does everything mean? What are we going to do? I guess that's the best question. And we know we want to make feasts. And feasts are going to require tomatoes. So we know we need to get tomatoes growing over here. And that's something you have to build the building to figure out what do you want, and is it really good? Do you really want to do it? Just like, the baked lobster. Okay, it reduces hunger. Life is good. Same thing with the steak. These are, those are great, but we want to grow the map, and we want to get the gold into the happiness. So we could do the roast turkey. That's pretty cool. Or we could do the steak. But then you have to look at, and the easiest way to look at it is pull up the letter I, which is your hotkey, and go into the stock management. And here, these are your fancy foods. So it's like, which ones do you want to make? And what are they going to actually do for you? So that's where you look at a couple of these items and then go over here to help. And you go to items, go to diet, and scroll all the way down, because that's usually where all the good stuff is. Now, the feast is what we want. And that's turkey or steak. So that's roast turkey. So we know roast turkey, that is going to take your butter and, your roasted turkey. So you have that, and I do believe you also have to throw in tomatoes with this. This has gotten kind of a little wonky after the update, but there's there's your roast turkey. So your roast turkey right there is turkey, tomatoes, and butter. So that gives you your roast turkey. And then you go over here to feast, and then you got to combine your roast turkey with whiskey, and that will give you your feast. So we have to set things up in proper order. But that's where you go through here and find out what you want to make. If you try to make 3 or 4 different items, your production is going to get really big headache. And do you want to really put yourself through that? So once you decide all that, then that's how you want to manage your growing area. So like if I want to make a fruit cake, I'm going to have to make jam. And with jam, that's all sorts of different fruits and all that other fun stuff. So when you're deciding on what you want to do, yeah, that's some forward thinking that we're going to have to think about. Just like popcorn, that is so cool. They brought in some really nice items, so it makes life a little bit easier. So, but you have to remember, in order to see the actual recipes, you have to turn around and build the buildings. So I recommend selecting some place on your map and do a building and figure out what you want. See, like, your baked lobster. It's using lobster and butter. And then if you combine it with wine, you get a delicacy for your stress relief. So now we know that if we want to make the lobster, we're going to have to get wine going. That means we have to grow grapes. So grapes would be a good idea to grow over in this area. Same thing with this feast. Your steak, beef, potatoes, and butter. So that means we're going to have to grow potatoes. And then over here, our turkey, we're going to need tomatoes over here. So what I was thinking, just to make my life easier, because since we're going to be going animal-wise, steak's going to be easy to make because we're going to have our buffalo and we have our cattle. So with that, we can ban them from eating, we have our cattle, so we have the beef. So that's good there. So I need to grow potatoes. And do I really want 2 different production lines of whiskey and wine? So if you have the area, I guess it would be great to grow grapes and make life easier. But then I also want to make something for on the vegetable side. So let's do this. Just so I can show you, I'm just going to find a little blank area, and we are going to build. Let's go over to, I do believe it's the processing food, and look at what we can make here. We have, a butter shop. Yeah. We have the bread shop. And so let's do the bread shop. Let's get that built. And let's do the outdoor kitchen. And let's do... we want the bakery. The bakery is... I think the bakery does more than the bread shop. Yeah, same function as the bread shop. So let's oust the bread shop. And let's get the barbecue going. Because I think the barbecue has some cool stuff in it. So let's get those built. Now I'll go ahead and unpause this. And let's see what we can do. Because it's really going to determine how much space we want to take on the map. And since I want to build a trade empire, we want some diverse food. Because if we're just selling feasts, the price is going to drop. So we're going to want to offer at least 3-4 different premium foods out to the factions so we can make money. And that's what we want, is we want to make money. Now, if you notice, I'm sitting at nearly 2,500 people on this map. The whole thing of the schools has been working out glorious. I mean, I'm sitting on 371 people for laborers. I have so many laborers, I don't know what to do with. Now, I could slow that down by adding schools or that one other school. What is it? Over here. These things. The boarding schools. I could turn these things on and life would be good, but I'm okay with 175 kids being taught. I could amp it up just to slow this number down. And matter of fact, you know what? That's what I'll do. Just to slow things down, I'll go ahead and reactivate some of these boarding schools. And that should bring our numbers up. And we're basically gating, 70 kids. So that might slow our labor pool down, which is what we want. And worst case scenario, if I run out of people, I'm just going to go ahead and unpause, I'll just turn one of these things off and get the kids back in the labor. So it's no big deal. But what I'll do is, if this number drops down to, if I'm down to my last dozen people, I'll just turn around and pause it and I'll flush them both out, and then I'll reactivate one of them and just get the little kids back into school again and send everybody else out for the labor pool. So to me, that would be by far the smartest thing to do. Now, I should have plenty of cutlery. Yeah, I was going to say, no. Now, these are the foods that we can make. These are simple foods. Do we really want to make simple foods? And I'm not keen on the simple foods because, like the pork takes salt. Now, I have plenty of salt, but I also want to make a whole lot more gowns and luxury gowns. So that's going to take salt away from my refined leather production. Do I really want to do that? So when you're deciding on what you're going to do, look at how you're going to compete against your other industries. Do you want to take a main ingredient from the leather industry and possibly shut that down because you're consuming all your salt with your food? So that's something you may want to consider, because that's not very good. And then of course we have our roast rat, which I don't like. And I've already done the Easter Island scenario, so yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Now, our fancy foods. Woohoo! Roast turkey. So we know we need butter, tomatoes, and our turkey. So we're definitely going to want to do that. And notice there is no competition with any other industries. So same thing with the other one. So the steak is looking pretty good right now. Now let's look at the bakery. What is the bakery going to give us? We like fancy food. Now, this one looks pretty good. The pie looks pretty good because sugar, that's easy. We could do sugar beets and avoid having to process it. So that would make life good. And then we have our flour. We have butter. Now, when it comes to flour, you also have to think of two things. If we make beer can either be made from wheat or oats. So you really want to think about that when, what did I do here? I'm going to pause that. you really want to think about this when you're setting this thing up, because you don't want to share your wheat if you're trying to make whiskey with your food. So it would be smart to have oats for one industry and the wheat for a different industry, so they're not competing. You see what I'm saying? So it would make life easier going that route. So, because if you decide to just only do wheat, and you could wind up staggering both of those industries because of not having enough wheat, to where if you break it up, one doing oat, one doing wheat, if one crop fails, it doesn't hurt the other industry. And if, say, your wheat production goes absolutely nuts and you need to get rid of some of the wheat, you could then turn it into flour and help out the plant-based stuff. We have meat side and we have plant side. So I'm talking about plant side. So now the fruit pie, that relieves stress. But the one thing I hate about the pies is it takes honey. I have not set up any apiaries for this. Plus, honey is also for, I do believe, ointments in your pharmaceuticals. So this thing, everybody and his brother's going to be competing for the honey. So I don't know if I want to make fruit pies. It seems like kind of a pain. And then here are the jams. It's not so bad. Fruits in a jam warehouse, life is good. And so, we're looking at, okay, pie, that's okay. But when you go into the fancy side, so for me, pies are out. I don't want to deal with the honey. So we need to go into fruit cakes. So what's a cake take? So we go over to fancy food, cake. Takes eggs. We have chickens, not a problem. We have sugar beets, sugar, not a problem. We have oats, we have wheat, so not a problem there. So cakes are pretty easy to do, and it's not competing against anything. And so then it just comes down to, let's make the jam warehouse or the jam shop and see what that takes. So here we go to, wow, that's a big building. As you can see, I've never built a jam workshop. But while we're talking about that, let's go over to this one. The outdoor kitchen, brand new to us. Finally, use for the chili pepper, our spicy cocoa. That's pretty cool, but it prevents hunger. Okay. I'm down with that. And taco, okay. So they have two decent simple foods, except this one, getting cocoa, I don't know if I really want to do that. So, yeah. But now, popcorn is fancy food. Helps relieve stress. Corn and sugar. Oh my God. For fancy food and make people happy? Okay, so we're going to grow corn. So right now we know we need to grow corn. We need to grow sugar beets. We need wheat. We need oats. We need tomatoes. And we need potatoes. Wow, that is a lot. So I think that area just expanded quite a bit. So, yeah, I think I might be biting off more than I can chew here. But it's something that we have to consider. It's because we only have so much map space. Now, since we have so much money, can we import some of this stuff? And that is another factor, is I could turn around and we could hit C for your factions, which C is your hotkey, go over to pricing and go over to food, and I do believe it is rough food, and I do believe our honey's in here. Yes. So look how much honey's going for. It costs 0.85, 0.85. So I could bring in 12,100 of these things, and it's not too bad. That's really no big deal. So life would be good there. I think I'd want to make sugar because sugar is kind of expensive. So we could grow the sugar. But I want you to take this into account when you're considering doing some of this stuff, because look at the pricing. Is it easier to just buy it, or is it easier to grow it? So you may decide to do like a happy medium. Grow some of the stuff, and if the production gets to be more than what you can grow, then bring some of it in and just supplement it. Because if you're constantly buying 12,100 each year, or even possibly 24,000 of each year, these prices are going to skyrocket. So you might want to consider growing some of it and then supplementing for shortages. So that's something you may want to consider. Now, let's look at our jams, because that's finally built. And our jams, easy peasy. Nothing else, no sugar required, nothing. It is just ready to go. Rough food, simple and easy. So we could just turn around and order, if you don't have the seed, pick up one of these seeds. Never heard of chestnut jam, but okay. And of course, if you want to know if you have it, hit I, and then go over to your collections. See, right now we have chestnuts, we have pecans. So, or pecan, depending on what state you're from. And so I might want to consider ordering some other, and that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and order some more seeds in and decide what I want to do there. And so, yeah, this is just more, I know we're not doing a ton of building on this, but I'm going to do a lot of the building off the map. But I just wanted to talk to everybody about it, because I keep on having people ask questions, what's the best placements and what's the best strategies and all that. So this is how I decide what I'm going to put on my map. And with this is going to be strictly just a growing area. I had considered putting pharmacies over here. I considered putting my distilleries and all that over here. And instead, I'm just going to absolutely grow. I'm just going to put crops in like there's no tomorrow, because I have plenty of room to create all my distilleries and all that over here. And I have different spots on the map that I can turn around and turn into what I want. And that would make life so much easier in the planning. So then you can just dial in exactly what you want, and you'll use the transfer warehouses to send the items around the map. Now, the one thing that you can do on the transfer warehouse, because these things are a pain. All your animals and all your plants, the supply station won't deliver to them. So the only thing that you can do to get, like here, to get fertilizer, either put in fertilizer plants within your area, or you're going to have to turn around and have your transfer station. You're going to need to come over here. You're going to have to go to raw materials and go food materials. Now, with that, your fodder and your fertilizer, same thing with your animal dung, will come into the transfer station. So right now, my animals are so weak. I'm like horrible in my area, animal area, that we're just not growing enough. We're not producing enough fertilizer. So right now I'm opting to put fertilizer plants close by and have storage close by, just to supplement until I can get my animal area in order, because I really, really do not like this area, not whatsoever. So we are going to put animals galore over here. And it's to a point to where I am probably going to remove some of these mountains. I will probably put in another mountain storage over here. I'm going to get rid of this river because it's to me, it's not needed. Anything that I need is going to go outside on the map, just like I did here. And you can do pretties if you can get your mouse over there, and have all your water production on the outside. So just like I'm going to find an area for my gold production, and I'm probably going to do that over here, since I have so much of my statues and all that other stuff going on over here, because here I've already set up for the gold statues. So the best thing I can do right now is just have all this area over here for sand production, and set up the shacks and all that other fun stuff for the gold. And that's more than likely what I'm going to build in this area right here. So then we will have our gold production totally taken care of. And I don't think I've ran these things very long, and we're only at 4,087 on our jade. So that's not too bad. And these guys, I've only been setting up one. Now that the jade production is ramping up, this is when it's time to get a little spicy and get this thing up and running, because we are going to make a mint. Right now I have 420 jade statues. Hit C. Pricing. Go over to trade. For traded goods. Jade statues. 540. 627. So right now I can make absolute bank with Carlos. And I'll probably wait until I have 500 of these things, and I'll send off a caravan. That is going to be some big money, which can't argue. But anyway, I just wanted to show you where we're at, what I'm planning on doing, and hopefully the information I gave you will hopefully improve the way you want to place your maps. And I tell you what, throwing one of these things down, you have 36 individuals. That's basically covering 12 farms, or 12 plantations. So yeah, even though they do take up a lot of space, they are optimum for getting a ton of people out of the housing. So it is absolutely worth doing. And you click on all these, and we got 20 somethings. We are flushing old people out. These people are soon going to be joining in here. If I would build another one, which, you know what? Why not? Let's go ahead and plop another one. Right. Well, let's turn it around and see where the entrance is. Oh, come on. Okay, there's the entrance. So we'll go ahead and put the entrance right there. So, oh, that's right. I need to put out a market square. So I'll toss in one of those things off camera. But we're going to go ahead and toss another one in. And we're going to make sure we have plenty of people out here to do what we need to get done. So hopefully this video was helpful. And hopefully you're having a great morning or great afternoon or great evening. Hopefully you're happy, safe, and healthy. And if you do like settlement survival content, please subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost you a dime. So, yes, I'm Larry, and I'm going to go ahead and pause this so I can save it, and I will talk to you at the next episode. Bye.